Hello, Call It Crew, and welcome to another episode of Short and Sweet.
Sweet. Oh, this one can get not so sweet.
I'm interested to see what your opinion is on this because
Yeah.
we might have different opinions on it, and we've
Okay,
never
yeah.
talked about this before.
Well, first of all, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about baby names,
Mm-hmm.
but the stealing of baby names,
Oh, shameless.
the hijacking of the name.
The hijinks that can occur around names. By the way, when
Yeah.
you were a kid, did you have your baby names picked out when you were like playing with dollies?
I mean, I loved the name Lucy. That was my little rag doll
It's a
name, and
cute
it
name, yeah.
was on the list for Hayden.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad I actually didn't name her Lucy because she came out with bright red hair. And I feel like, I love Lucy in the US. Like it would have just, now it
Right.
would have been really cute, but I think it would have been too like on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Did you
Yeah.
have baby names like when you were little?
Yeah. I don't remember what they were, but I did love playing house. I loved
Mm.
yeah, I liked the conceiving of names and whole personalities. I remember when I was in French class, I had a French name. Yeah, I like names.
Okay, so before you had kids, but you're getting older, you're getting married, doing all the things,
Yeah.
did you have your adult, like, your real baby names ready to go?
No, no, every single one of our babies came out without a name.
Oh, really? I
Oh,
didn't
we
know
left the
that.
hospital twice without a name.
You did. For which
Yeah.
kids?
Eve and
Wow.
actually three, all the girls, Eve, Poppy, and Josephine. And Luke, we pretty much decided the day after he was born. He was born at night, and the next day, I think we cemented it that he was Luke.
All three of your
Eve
girls.
took almost like a week, I think.
Wow. I don't think I even knew that you could do that actually.
That they let you leave with a nameless baby.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not illegal. By the way, with the first baby, I thought it was illegal to let me leave with a baby at all. I was like,
Yeah,
wait,
of
what?
course.
Who's
Yeah.
gonna let me leave with this baby? I don't know
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. You're like, drive, drive. They're after us.
You
I'm kidding.
remember?
You're like,
And you
stay.
like have this idea of what they're gonna look like in the baby, like because you know how you put the car
Yes.
seat in like a month before you even have the baby,
Yeah.
just in case, you know?
Yeah.
Because by the way, that's hard to put in. And so I remember putting the baby, a day old. I always left the next day, a day old in the car seat. And my idea of what a baby would look like in the car seat was far different than what the real baby looks like in the car seat. I, they were always like all shriveled up and like you couldn't
No,
get their arms to go
no, it's like putting
straight.
a raisin in
Yeah. But a raisin with like
a hat.
a raisin with a hat and like hanger wire for arms. Like they didn't
Yeah.
bend.
No,
Remember
they
how you
don't
couldn't
bend.
get them to
They're
bend?
fully, no, no, no. They're
Yeah,
like,
they didn't move. And so trying to get it inside the seatbelt buckle, I was like, what is this shit? Am I on candid camera?
no, no, no. Oh, because they're strong too. No one tells you how strong a newborn is.
Yeah,
If they
yeah.
don't want to move that arm,
How about the legs in like the up
the
position?
legs,
Those
yeah,
things
yeah,
aren't
yeah.
moving either.
They're not moving. They're
No,
not
they're in
moving.
a full stork. They're like,
Okay, back to baby names.
okay.
That's interesting. Okay, so you didn't know.
Did you? You had names for yours.
I knew Lucas before I even had babies. Lucas
Okay.
was a
You
name.
were having a boy and it was going to be named Lucas.
Yes. And
Okay.
when I was pregnant with Hayden, we were like, if it's a boy, it's Lucas. And so Lucas was Lucas. I did have a list of baby names for Hayden, and I went through a lot of them, but there was one name, and I can't say it because I'm about to tell a story about it, and it will just out that person.
Okay.
So I had one name that I absolutely loved forever. Matt really liked it for a girl too. And then my ex-boyfriend, so my high school sweetheart that I'd been with for a really long time, like after I threw into college, we moved to Los Angeles together, um, ended up cheating on me with a pretty famous reality star that is still
You are
around.
full of
I
surprises.
know.
Why do we not know this story?
I, yeah, I need to tell you this story. So she's pretty famous. I mean, you definitely know her name. And she ended up naming her girl the year before, like maybe like a couple of years before I got pregnant with Hayden, my favorite baby name for a girl. And I
Uh,
can't say it because it's kind of an unusual name. Like if I said the name, Google would find it in two
Good.
seconds,
Let's do
right?
it. Let's do it.
No, I can't do it. Oh God. Jessica Cashaw's feeling
A
sneaky.
troublemaker.
Trouble.
I want a little trouble today.
So it ruined it for me though. And then I kind of was like, who cares? It doesn't matter. You can just still name, but it just did. And honestly, I wish it hadn't because in a way, I feel like it would even have suited Hayden maybe a little bit more. But anyway, so I did feel like my baby name was stolen without this person knowing, without this girl knowing.
We named Luke. Then we got pregnant with Eve. We knew we were having a girl. And I had a friend who was pregnant at the same time as me. And what we all know about names in general is you actually probably shouldn't discuss them with anyone because everyone's got an opinion, right? And so then all of a sudden they're going to yuck your yum without even meaning to, or
agree about
someone's
that.
going to say, that's my baby name. You really, best practices is you should just zip it. Like, don't talk about your baby names. It's not a good idea. I did have a list, and my friend who was also having her first baby, there was a name that was on both of our lists, but I was due before her. And it was my impression that she had not settled on any name. But I did know there was this name that was on both of our lists. And then baby Eve arrives, and we didn't know it was baby Eve. Baby girl arrives, and we are going through the exercise of naming her, and we end up kind of zeroing in on this one shared name. And I'm like full of all the postpartum feelings and the ups and downs. And it would, like, on day 3, it turns 5 o'clock and I'm crying in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And you don't even know why you're crying, but you're crying. And by the way, you're so happy, but you're like, I'm crying and that looks sad, but I'm actually happy, but I'm also really sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of those things.
Yeah.
And I have a nameless baby, which felt like some kind of pressure. And then we zeroed in on this name, and it sort of seemed like it could be her name. And then this part is really fuzzy in my memory, but somehow that friend of mine who was still waiting for her baby reached out and was like, where are you on the names? And I said, I think we're kind of narrowing down on these 2. And one of them was the shared name.
Yeah.
And she was devastated, hurt. It was a giant, big, huge, giant
issue.
So
wow. This is such an interesting story because I feel like I don't know if this is fair.
Well, I think probably the story is that sometimes in life, neither side is fair. Like, it's not like in life, there's going to be something that's not fair to someone. And that's exactly right. The story is not fair. In my opinion, it was not fair to either one of us, right? Because if she had settled on this, which at that point, when there became this big issue, it was her case that actually it was not a question mark over that name. It was already decided. And even though this baby hadn't arrived yet, this was the name. And then it was a firm, like, baby without a name going, ah. And my husband was like, but I really like that name. And I was like, ah. I really like that name and I really love that friend. And so everything came into a cross section of like choice. And again, not very fertile ground, not very comfortable ground to be making big decisions, a couple days after having a baby. It's just everything is just like, it's like you're walking around without skin. It's just like you're sensitive to the whole world.
I mean, she also like really left that to the last minute. Like the week that your baby's out, she's like, actually, that is the name for me. Like,
yeah, I know.
Like,
I know. And you know what? I think that her story would be that maybe it was before then. I don't know. Everything.
Are you guys still friends? Can I ask?
Well, you know what? It was a very, very big and very,
it caused a little bit of
a lot. Yes, we have absolutely since repaired, and she's a longtime friend, and I love her, and she loves me, and absolutely, there's been repair. But it was a big deal. So you look at these people who have situations where they feel like someone stole their name, and you're like, that's crazy. Like, what are people losing their minds about? But given that I was in a situation, you can see why people lose their minds, and I think it's like not completely unforeseeable.
Here's my opinion on it. I do think that if you have someone who's like, my whole life, this has been the baby name that I've wanted, right?
For sure.
Like, I think you let it go. Like, even if you love the
Yeah.
name, there are a million names out there and you have to let it go. I think that, yeah, if I, everyone sort of knew in my circle that I really loved Lucas. And if one of my very close friends had had a boy and named him Lucas, I would have been pissed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Even though it's
yeah.
a common name, like I would have been really pissed.
I did. I also had a friend. I mean, again, I have four children. I did have a friend during the naming process. It was a, we knew we were having a girl and there was probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 names on the list.
Yeah.
And my friend knew what the names were. And then she got a dog and she named her dog one of the names.
That is also not fucking okay. Are you kidding
And
me?
but I was kind of like, all right. I mean, I actually didn't,
You didn't say anything?
I was kind of, I don't
I
know.
would have
There's
had to
certain
make a joke.
things.
I would have had to be like, well, thanks, woof woof. That name's off the fucking list. Was it really like Benji wasn't available? Get the fuck out of here. Peanut butter, like literally, I mean, when it comes to a dog, like you're dead to me. That are you still friends with that person?
Yes.
Why? I hate this person. Whoever you are, I don't like you. She's like, Annabelle.
Again, I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, this is a point when it comes to this whole topic and reading about different people who lost their minds because of names.
Yeah.
Here's how I feel. It's not personal. And I don't know if you notice this, but it seems to me like sometimes not everyone gets CC'd on like my most important thoughts. And then they are just like leading their lives and they do a thing and it goes against something or it interrupts something of mine. And I'm like, okay, I have a choice here. I could either be like wound up around this and have this whole thing and melt on the floor, or I could be like, cool, that wasn't going to be my name. That's going to be Woof Woof's name.
I don't know if I agree with, I don't know about
Cut
this.
her.
I mean, you're
Leave her
so
bleeding on the
nice.
floor.
You're so nice.
Ugh, my children are so annoyed with me about it lately.
About how nice you are?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
become a
you
thing.
gotta cut it
I
out.
know. All right,
It is ridiculous.
I'm gonna try.
So we started this conversation and we got inspired by a People magazine article about a man who talked about how his sister knowingly used a baby name after agreeing not to. I mean, that basically sums up the story. I would be so frustrated about this. And people in the
Mhm.
comments were suggesting that he have a conversation with his sister to express his feelings and to try and understand why she chose that name. I think that that would be the conversation I would have. Explain
Mhm.
to me, I would have to say, like, listen, I'm not going to fake that this isn't hurtful. This is crazy. So explain to me why, of the million names in the world, you're like, wait, that one's my favorite. And then I'll also just still hate you after. I'll hear you out, but like, and then I'll also just still hate you after. I'll hear you out, but like, I definitely hate you.
Definitely hate you forever. By the way, I mean, given that we just dipped into something that was a sibling issue,
Yeah.
I can divulge that you that if we were real sisters and I wasn't just your American version of a sister, you might hate
Yeah.
me because it turns out I didn't know it. I swear I didn't. But my sister Destry, she asserts, and I believe her,
Yeah.
that Poppy was her baby name.
No.
But she was 15 when I had Poppy. So I mean, this one is where the adult Jessica, I'm swear I'm not trying to be too nice. I just see everybody's perspective. I can imagine at 15 when she was like, that's going to be my name because it's a very specific name. Like there's no other version of Poppy. And Poppy is such a great
Mm.
name. And I mean, every time I say my daughter's name, I mean, all of them, I love so much, but there's a real like snap to the Poppy, right? Like she's just like, you can't say it and not be happy on some level.
Yeah, it's also hard because I know your kids and like your like their names just fit. I can't imagine
Yeah,
them
yeah.
fitting so well. I think that like if you're 15 and you have a name, I'm sure that like Brittany was one of my names, back when I was 15. Ginger Spice.
Because you wanted her to grow up just like Britney Spears.
It's gonna be, yeah, exactly right. So I mean, I feel like you've got to enter an adult, fully formed brain before you can really claim it.
Yeah,
However, if
yeah.
you're still claiming Poppy by, 21,
That could be real. I know.
Yeah, but you gotta really announce it. I think you gotta really let people know. Like, listen,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is,
Well, Destry's my youngest sister, so she would probably say, I did. It's always the youngest. It's like, I'm
you
talking
did.
here. Can you please listen to me? And it's tough. In a family of seven, you got to say aloud.
You gotta email it. You gotta have evidence.
The evidence. Yeah, you got to, yeah, get it trademarked.
You got it trademarked, and then yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you can sue. You can sue.
You need to get it notarized. You need to get that name
Yeah.
notarized. Yeah, but I'm glad that she's a Poppy, and I think that Destry's okay, and she's going to come up with a great name for her daughter one day.
Well, now I'm curious because I like the idea of you saying that nobody talks about their baby names. Because if you don't
Hmm.
talk about it and then your friend names it there's nothing you can really, it is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, if we had never talked about it, and
Yeah.
if I had never said what my name was, and that baby came, and I named that baby, I mean, it's not like I wish this because listen, everyone ended up being named the right thing, right? So I'm not worried about it at all. But it did suck what it created, right? But if the baby had come out and my friend just got the announcement, what are you gonna do? Nothing.
What are you gonna
So
do?
I do think I would stick with that. If I was gonna continue to have some babies, I would
Yeah.
not talk about it.
It's hard though. You're so excited and you're not thinking about that, but there are some name stealers out there.
Yeah, yeah. They're among us.
They walk among
They
us, and
walk among us, and
it's a
they will
very
take your
scary.
name.
They'll get a hamster. That name's
Yeah.
gone. A
Cat,
bird,
a bird, a goldfish.
a goldfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Hayden. There's Hayden. Oh, look, Hayden and Lucas swimming by.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Those were just the names I loved. Never mind. Look at old Poppy and Luke swimming away. I'm gonna kill you. Literally, I'm gonna kill you. Like, I'm gonna name all my children your exes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to hear them every day.
You can't name your kids an
I
X name.
know. And it's hard because one of my exes' names was a good boy
Me
name.
too. Me too. And
Yeah.
actually, it was a boy. Well, he was a boy, or he was a man, but he had kind of a name that could be both.
Yeah.
And at one point, it came up as an idea for a girl. But I was like, it was
I
actually more me than
know.
anything. I was like, that name is done to me. That name, because by the way, he was not a good guy.
Oh, yeah. See, one of the guys I liked, he was a good guy, but I just, I can't do it.
Mm-mm,
Because
mm-mm.
because Matt knows my history, right? So he'd be like,
I know. Yeah,
no.
they do.
It's
They
hard. I should have
listen.
lied about the
They do
names.
listen.
Well, they listen when they need to. Anyway, we want to hear from the Call It Crew.
Yes, we do. Has anyone stolen your name? Have you stolen? I want to hear from the people who've stolen the names. Come on, fess up.
Yes.
You're not going to be seen.
Why
I
did you
mean, yeah. Why did you think you could get away with it? And were you
do you feel any
self-conscious about
guilt?
it? Yeah, do you
Yes.
feel
Do
any
you feel
guilt?
guilt? All
Oh
right,
yeah.
Call It Crew. We want to hear from the name stealers. In fact, convince us why you're right. Because right now we're leaning out of it. We're leaning
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
it. So I
Yep.
want to know why it's okay to steal a name. You tell us, and we will hear from you.
Yes, bring it on.
All right. This was so fun. Let's call it.
The end of the episode.